Welcome back. Now it is time to let our clients speak. Let's start with the feedback from Mr. Martinez from Consum.
Desde Consum estamos orientados a la consecución de los compromisos del Pacto Verde de la Unión Europea y por ello continuamos implantando medidas para mitigar nuestras emisiones a la atmósfera y así poner nuestro granito de arena para frenar el cambio climático. El desarrollo sostenible forma parte de los valores de nuestra cooperativa y por ello contamos desde 2005 con un plan de ahorro y eficiencia energética que tiene como objetivo el reducir el consumo eléctrico de las instalaciones, tanto de supermercados como de las plataformas, a través de la incorporación de tecnologías más eficientes en las principales áreas de consumo, como son la iluminación, climatización y refrigeración, así como mediante el control y supervisión de los consumos y la concienciación de nuestros trabajadores en el uso eficiente de los equipos y las instalaciones. En 2020 continuamos apostando por la electricidad de origen renovable certificada y se han dispuesto medidas innovadoras en instalaciones y equipamientos que permitan a nuestra red de supermercados se encuentre sin duda entre las más eficientes del sector. Con la implantación de todas estas medidas conseguimos en 2020 el sello Reduzco del Ministerio para la Transición Ecológica, lo que demuestra el gran trabajo realizado. La iniciativa surgió en 2017 y la recibimos con gran entusiasmo por varios motivos, dado que existía una necesidad de desarrollar tecnologías que ayudasen a la implementación del CO2. Por otra parte, es para Consum un honor ser actor principal en este programa de acción por el clima y más teniendo el respaldo de la Unión Europea a través del programa LIFE. Por último, reconocemos a EPTA un importante CONNOB en la refrigeración comercial, lo que hace uno de nuestros partners preferentes. En este caso se trató de una nueva apertura que cuenta con una superficie de unos 1.400 metros cuadrados. Se trata de un supermercado ecoeficiente, en el que prima la experiencia al cliente y la sostenibilidad. Para esto, además de usar CO2 como refrigerante, optamos por la instalación de mobiliario frigorífico de última tecnología de EPTA, certificado por Euroven, y el control domótico de la totalidad de instalaciones y la utilización de iluminación LED, además de instalar placas solares fotovoltaicas para consumo en cubierta. El nuevo modelo de supermercado Consum dispone de una tecnología pionera en sus instalaciones frigoríficas que utiliza CO2 como gas refrigerante natural, reduciendo así sus emisiones de gases efecto invernadero y generando un impacto climático menor. En 2020 se instaló en 17 nuevos supermercados, llegando con esta nueva tecnología a estar implantada en un total de 113 supermercados, siendo Consum una empresa referente a nivel nacional en este tipo de instalaciones. Todas nuestras tiendas están monitorizadas y medimos los consumos en tiempo real para asegurar su funcionamiento en el punto óptimo en todo momento. En Benicassim hemos podido comprobar durante el verano pasado una considerable reducción de las temperaturas de descarga en los compresores, con el consiguiente beneficio en términos de fiabilidad de la instalación. En cuanto a consumo, se llegaron a obtener en verano reducciones superiores al 15%, comparando Benicassim con otras instalaciones que no incorporan tecnología FTE ni ETE. Esto ha sido debido al efecto combinado de estas tecnologías, que suben la temperatura de evaporación del mobiliario en positiva al tiempo que reducen la temperatura de condensación hasta prácticamente eliminar el flash gas, causante de las ineficiencias en periodos de altas temperaturas. Los resultados de la tienda LIFE en Benicassim han sido satisfactorios, demostrando que la apuesta de Consum por el CO2 es ganadora. Los números obtenidos en nuestras instalaciones han demostrado que el CO2 es un refrigerante que, con la tecnología disponible en la actualidad, es también eficiente en climas cálidos como el nuestro, por lo que mantenemos nuestra apuesta por el CO2 en sistemas que incorporen soluciones de optimización como el FTE 2.0 y el ETE, por la facilidad del mantenimiento y el ahorro energético continuado durante los 365 días del año. Nuestro objetivo no es otro que seguir reduciendo las emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero y mitigar todavía más el efecto de nuestra actividad en el cambio climático.
So, very interesting feedback, Mr. Martinez. Now over to you, Stefano. We know that Conad Centro Nord pays specific attention to the environmental impact of their stores. Can you tell us something more about it?
Well, yes. I can tell you that Conad Centro Nord considers environmental topics in particular. Since many years we have committed to reducing our environmental impact. For example, in all new stores we install photovoltaic plants that generate a saving of 70,000 kilowatt hour per year. Another example, In all our stores, we install heat recovery systems used for the heating of sanitary water in order to make each store completely autonomous from this point of view. Speaking about refrigeration, we know very well its impact on the environmental, and for this reason, we install in all new stores vertical refrigerated cabinets with doors in order to save 40% more energy than open cabinets. But our primary goal is to replace AFC gases with CO2. And I can also tell you that one of the main reasons we joined the live C4R project is its name, Carbon for Retail. Refrigeration.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes, because the name is a word pun. And it really means that your company, with this project, is really interested in raising awareness about the adoption of natural refrigerants. And we wanted to be part of this. We did some preparatory work. We gathered information about the project thanks to EPTA representatives. And after that, we decided to install the first pilot project in our store in Carpenedolo, in the north of Italy.
So why Carpenedolo?
Well, because geographically speaking, Carpenedolo has a climatic profile typical of the Po Valley, which has high maximum temperature in the summer months, very hot and humid in summer. We regularly see peaks of temperature of 35 degrees. And it is hot for a long period, typically from early June to the end of September. For this reason, the maximum efficiency when it is hot outside is very important. And then, in the winter, we go very close to 0 degrees or below, and it is good to see that CO2 performs well in both situations.
Well, thank you, Stefano. Now, before you tell us the results of having installed the technology, let's welcome Mr. Vasil Kasian from Mega Image, who is joining us from Romania and installed another one of the 7 pilot projects of Live C4R.
Hello, my name is Vasile Kasian. I'm technical manager in Mega Image, part of Ahol Deleuze Group. Francesco?
So, what made you to decide to use this system for your next installation?
Our group and our company is very focused in the carbon footprint reduction. So in this way, we decide to promote natural refrigerants and high efficiency technology too. For the first time, when I heard about the FTE technology, I was attracted by the simplicity and the reliability of this system. We can validate the results, what we expected for. Francesco?
Right. Great, Vasile. Yeah, you really struck the right key, simplicity. It's really impressive. Now let's back to the studio with Stefano. Stefano, I know that you are not a technical manager, so I'm not going to ask you anything specific about FTE system. But let me ask you, what do you, as a non-technical person, think about this system? So, since you work with numbers, what are the practical results in terms of energy savings that you have reached thanks to your involvement in the Live C4R project?
Well, yes, I'm not technical, I'm a financial guy, but I won't tell you about numbers today. We have appreciated significant energy savings. I want to take you some examples. Just think that we have saved more than 50,000 kilowatt hour per year, that are equal to nearly 60,000 cycles of washing machines saved annually, or more than 30,000 hair dryers. This is really impressive and has made us really proud to have participated in this pilot project. The energy labels on products show the energy efficiency performance and tell us what we can save money on the energy bill if we choose the best products. But with system, it's a bit more difficult. So to choose the most efficient technical situation, I can assure you that we have tried all the technical solutions for many years. And today with CO2, with FTE, we feel we have found the efficient solution we were looking for.
Thanks a lot, Stefano, for your contribution. Now, Vasile, I would like to ask you also, what other benefits did you discover using the system?
The benefit discovered of this system is in the first time the reliability and the good functioning of the system in the very hot climate in the Black Sea, in the Constanța city very close to Black Sea, where the temperature in the summer are very high sometimes. So the system was very reliable, the functionality was kept also in this very tough condition. The second advantage is the using of natural refrigerant, what we contribute to reduce our average GVP of the company level. And the third advantage of this system is the simplicity of this, with a very easy servicing and operation, keeping operation the safe way.
Thanks a lot. Great. Well done. And let me ask you one last thing, if I may. Are you also considering using this for some new installations in the future?
Yes, of course. Based on the results what we obtained and the saving what we saw, we will replicate the systems in our future store, where the system is suitable for this size of the stores. Now we are sure the system is proper for all our areas in the country, starting from the sea to the mountain. So we have solution with FTE for these stores.
Very good. Let me thanks a lot Stefano and Mr. Cassian for being our hosts today. Now let's start the second part, which is dedicated to the market acceptance of these new technologies. But before we start, David Wirth, Power Packs and Systems Product Manager at EPTA, will now tell us if the FTE and ETE are still in the prototype phase, or is it an industrial solution in mass production at EPTA?
Live C4R is an international marketing project with a 3-year duration, co-funded by the European Community as part of the LIFE program. It was born to promote the replacement of HFC and HCFC refrigerants with a natural refrigerant CO2 in commercial refrigeration. The two technologies at the heart of LIFE C4R are FTE, full transcritical efficiency, and ETE, extreme temperature efficiency. In the past 3 years, hundreds of installations of these innovative and sustainable airtight technologies have been performed, with proven efficiency and of course very satisfied customers. Now I'm very proud to present to you the integration of these two technologies in our new Eco2 Large platform. The new platform is available with 3 LT compressors and 4 or 5 medium temperature compressors to cover a wide range of applications for medium or high cooling capacities. The Eco2 Large comes with pre-tested and pre-installed electrical boards, which are available with all the common controllers in the market. The new technologies, pre-tested and with very high quality, thanks to the hundreds of installations, are completely integrated in the rack. FTE 2.0, does not need any additional space in the mechanical room. ETE is also fully integrated in the rack. Thanks to ETE, there is no limit in ambient conditions anymore. It even guarantees better energy efficiency than the standard technologies like parallel compression. In addition, it gives you the possibility to run your CO2 system in any location of the world, regardless of the ambient temperature. Other options like heat recovery and backup units are of course also possible. The new Eco 2 Large will be launched in July and can be ordered today. For more information and details, please ask your local EPTA sales partner.
Would you believe me if I told you that we disseminated live to more than 100,000 people? It is not a pun. It has been the work of a very small team of EPTA people for over 3 years of Live C4R project. It has been a real challenge, but if you have the right strategy, all goals can be achieved. And we had goals, yes, the ones we set as part of the grant agreement. Creating a website, taking part in a lot of events. We had targets too. Retailers, policymakers and the European and national association, but also a wider group of the public that were not so familiar with the language of refrigeration and technicality. Finally, we had a timeline, and a very strict one, I would say. So, at first, we gave birth, or better said, we gave life, to a brand, Carbon for Retail Refrigeration, and we created its identity and set of values. The name is a kind of a joke, because the primary goal of the project is cutting the carbon emission in commercial refrigeration, but we do it also using CO2 as natural refrigerant. After creating the brand, we created the website, and we started all digital activities to support it. Social media posting, newsletter, LinkedIn, sponsor campaign. We soon started participating in trade fairs and events, the most important and famous one in our sector. We had also a very clear strategy in this case, with the idea of creating Live C4R exhibition kit that could be easily recreated in each exhibition we attended. This meant having an entire area of our booth dedicated to the dissemination of Live C4R project with a big screen, live presentations every day and digital tools to explain the running of FTE system and its installation all over the world. We use this Live C4R exhibition kit in 5 of the most important trade fairs of the refrigeration and retail sector, where we welcome over 7,000 visitors and distributed more than 3,000 brochures and promotional material. Then, we concentrated on networking with customers and stakeholders, organizing 3 events over the years, which were specifically dedicated to explaining the project and its advantages. Here, we set the basis for the closer collaboration we had with those who decided to be part of the project and install our technologies in their stores. These are the 7 pilot projects. Inside the pilot stores, we had the challenging task of explaining the Live C4R project not only to technical stakeholders, but also to a wider public, and yet, in simplicity, we found the best solution. For each store, we created promotional material communicating the energy saving offered by FTE and ETE technologies expressed in a very common language. Cycle of washing machine saved, hair dryers saved. In addition to all these activities, we also started taking part in the most famous and renewed conferences of the refrigeration sector. Atmosphere events, conferences of the International Institute of Refrigeration. Our communication activities continued over the years with trade fairs, events, digital campaigns, printed advertising, social media, newsletters, and so on. Then we arrived at February 2020, where the most important exhibition for retail was scheduled, EuroShop. Here we had a huge stand for EPTA and organized a massive dissemination activity for Live C4R, a dedicated area of the booth and a big conference arena where we had presentations every day about the project and international hosts, from institutions to climate campaigners. As part of all this, we organized a specific event for Live C4R, which was joined by more than 70 people. In 5 days of exhibition, we had 6,000 people on our booth, a significant amount of material distributed, and contacts collected, people involved, interviewed. Then, the day after the end of the exhibition, the COVID-19 pandemic spread over Italy and Europe. The whole world stood still for a while, and so we did. But this didn't stop us. Even if we couldn't do any physical event, trade fair or conference, we continued our digital activities and took advantage of the power of modern technologies. After 3 years of project, we have achieved all goals in terms of dissemination activities. We participated in 5 exhibitions and more than 10 international conferences and events. We gathered more than 3,000 contacts, reached more than 30,000 people through social media organic activities, and more than 100,000 with paid advertising. And this is not the end, because there is something after life for real. Our dissemination activities will continue after the official closing of the project, in order to spread the natural refrigeration all over the world.
So, we are many people, all connected, and we have presented so many actions and developments regarding CO2 and the C4R technologies. In this precise moment, there are more than 150 people connected from all over the world, and this is a great success. And this tells us that people appreciate the importance of natural refrigeration in commercial refrigeration. We'd like to hear your voice and try and answer the questions that we have received up to now. We encourage you to put them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them all. So, first question coming. Well, this is interesting. So, the question says, no excuse anymore not to install CO2 in a supermarket, or am I wrong? Well, the answer is very simple. The C4R project has proven that at the moment, finally, today, CO2 has no more any gap. No cost gap, no efficiency gap, no reliability gap. It's beneficial for all in commercial refrigeration. So I think that this question is right. There is no more excuse. There is no more excuse to use other than natural refrigerants in commercial refrigeration.
Okay, let me handle this one, Francesco, if you may. Is in Italian, we like to translate it. From where the efficiency of the FTE system comes from? Well, interesting question, a little bit technical, but let me try to explain. The efficiency comes from the overfeeding of the medium temperature evaporators. Using the liquid instead of the gas inside the evaporator, how to increase the heat transfer coefficient? Let me translate in a simplest way. All the system before FTE, or the direct expansion system, has to manage the liquid return to the compressor, because a liquid returning to the compressor will damage the compressor itself. So every system before FTE has to take care to completely evaporate the liquid inside the evaporator of the cabinet. But this leads to an inefficiency. So we ask ourselves, but is really needed to tangle these needs of evaporated liquid inside the evaporator of the cabinet? Is there not another way to do that? And so, from this concept, the FTE born, we installed the FTE between the medium temperature cabinet and the compressor rack, and we use this FTE to collect the liquid. And this allows us to overfeed the medium temperature cabinet, enhancing the heat transfer coefficient, and therefore allowing the run of a PEX at 4 or 5 degrees higher than usual. Then we dispose, and this is the secret of the FTE, the liquid in the most simple way as possible, using the liquid accumulated in the FTE to feed the low temperature cabinet.
I can take this question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Very interesting. So the FTE is only a solution that can give energy savings in hot climate or also in the cold climate. Well, the FTE is the way in all booster transcritical system. And the energy saving is, yes, in the hot climate, but also is the same saving in the cold climate because it's independent of the ambient temperature. As Daniele said, we have the floating evaporator that give us the best energy efficiency that we can find. So the FTE, the work of the FTE is great in the hot climate and also in the cold climate.
I see that there is another question, Francesco.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting, yes. This one. Which is, I will translate once again, which is the maximum temperature in which you install FTE with ETE, combined with ETE?
Interesting.
Yes, because in fact we
what's
as
the record?
What's the record?
For the record.
Exactly. What's the
they
record?
want to know what's the highest temperature.
And we as engineers, we like records.
You
we like
are,
to break the records,
yes.
right? So, well, the hottest country where we install the combination of FTE and ETE is Australia. So we reach an external temperature of 46.5 degrees Celsius for several hours during the day. The second hottest place where we install ETE and FTE together is Emirates in Dubai. Down there we reach 45 degrees Celsius. But we are using this technology, as you have seen during this discussion, in the south of Europe, and so also in Bologna, in Spain, we reach during the summer temperatures that are for sure above 40 degrees Celsius. So it's a really proven technology that surprises also ourselves. When we see a system running smoothly with plus 46 degrees outside, this is something that really was the proof on the table that the system was reliable.
Yeah, a good payback for an excellent technical work. Okay, now let me introduce a friend of sustainable innovation, Mrs. Sophie Guégan, climate campaigner of the Environmental Investigation Agency, who has a very important message for us all. Please, Sophie, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you all today about the future of cooling technology and the vital role cooling will play in the battle against climate change. I'll quickly introduce myself and my organization before delving into the contribution of cooling emissions to our current climate catastrophe, and then I'll speak a little bit about our net zero cooling product list, which showcases sustainable technology options available today on the market to reduce the emissions from cooling. So my name is Sophie Guégan. I'm a climate campaigner at the Environmental Investigation Agency. We are an NGO that carries out field investigations and intelligence to expose environmental crime. And we also work on policy and advocacy across a spectrum of environmental issues. Our climate team works on the Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment, as well as the EU F-gas regulation to phase down harmful refrigerant gases globally and within the EU. We also work with industry and end users advocating for a swift transition to energy efficient natural refrigerant cooling solutions. And we work to expose the illegal trade of these refrigerant gases, which is currently occurring in the EU. We'll be publishing a new report on the illegal trade in the EU in the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We are already seeing the devastating effects of climate change today, from the wildfires in Australia last year to the current heat waves sweeping through the US and Canada. And with COP26 fast approaching and the opportunity to build back better and greener after COVID, action on climate change has never been more urgent. Luckily, as F-gases are short-lived climate pollutants, fast action to eliminate them would have a quick impact on curbing warming, flattening the climate curve, and helping us avoid catastrophic climate tipping points. The phase down of HFCs under the Kigali Amendment could avoid half a degree of warming by the end of the century, and this could double if energy efficiency improvements are undertaken at the same time. Cooling emissions are so often overlooked in discussing climate change, even though emissions from cooling equipment could be responsible for 13% of total global greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. However, luckily, we're at a turning point where cooling is firmly on the climate change agenda and attention is being paid to how we can quickly reduce our cooling emissions in line with the Paris Agreement. Cooling emissions are set to skyrocket as more cooling equipment is deployed, as temperatures increase, more people install cooling equipment, further pushing up global temperatures in a vicious cycle. Forecasts show that the global stock of air conditioners alone could triple by 2050 to 5.6 billion units. That's 10 new air conditioners sold every second for the next 30 years. Reducing the emissions from this equipment is crucial to avoid locking in climate-damaging products. The transition away from climate-damaging refrigerants has been too slow, and there are many applications where HFC bans should have been implemented in the F-gas regulation in the last review, but were not, meaning we've lost a decade of climate action. We cannot reach net zero without reducing our cooling emissions, and we need to make up for lost time. Luckily, we have so many more solutions and options for sustainable cooling now than we did even a few years ago, and so much more awareness by industry, by policymakers, and by the general public about the impacts of climate change and how cooling plays a role in that. And that is in part thanks to great projects like this one we're talking about today. But getting the cooling industry on track for net zero emissions is going to be a challenge. We need to avoid significant demand for cooling, shift the way we cool, and improve our existing vapor compression cooling equipment. EIA has recently developed the product list for net zero cooling, which showcases some of the many energy efficient natural refrigerant cooling equipment options available on the market today. This product list is available online and goes through each subsector from domestic, commercial, industrial, and transport refrigeration and air conditioning, as well as heat pumps. The product lists contain equipment that have a low climate impact. They use only natural refrigerants and have very high energy efficiency. And luckily, EPTA equipment is featured in our commercial refrigeration product list as well. So they're the best of the best. The product list provides evidence that natural refrigerant solutions are viable today. And we've heard today many times, these products exist. There are no more technical barriers. There are no more price barriers to using the most energy efficient solutions using natural refrigerants. We now need them to take over the market and keep us cool without heating up the planet. We need updated safety standards to allow for more flammable gases. We need technicians trained on all alternatives, natural and otherwise. And we need bans on F-gases in products that can use natural or no refrigerants instead. And this is particularly important for the commercial refrigeration sector. We need to opt for natural refrigerants rather than new fluorinated alternatives that could have deeply damaging environmental effects, including TFA and also HFC 23 byproducts. We don't need more false solutions, especially as we have future-proof, efficient, natural solutions available now. So what we need is more great projects like Life C4R and more ambitious and fast action to make green cooling accessible globally if we want to meet our climate goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sophie, for this very high-level message that we all appreciate, and also the audience which is following this event is appreciating a lot the message that we are delivering. And to be honest, we have encouraged you to send more questions in the chat, and we are receiving so many questions that for reasons of time, it's impossible to answer them all right now. So what we will do, those questions we were not able to address directly here, we will put the answers in the website of C4R, which is carbon4 in a number, retailrefrigeration.eu. And there, very soon, in the next hours, you will find the answers to all of your questions. Okay, so now let me say, John Fitzgerald Kennedy in 1961 said, "For in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet, we all breathe the same air, we all cherish our children's future, and we're all mortal." Everybody remembers this. We cannot hide, there is nowhere to run. We know that climate change has serious consequences for our planet. It is perhaps difficult to admit that this is the result of the human industrial activities. In other words, it is our fault. We must admit, however, that, at least in terms of good intentions, a more positive climate is emerging worldwide. Now, it is the time to shape our future and to decide what kind of store we want. And we cannot just rely on modern technologies for new stores, as for each new store like this, there are another 25 old stores that have been in operation for 10, 15 years or more in some cases, which are made with refrigerants and technologies of that time and are dispersing huge amounts of high GWP F-gases, causing huge greenhouse emissions. Replacing an R404A refrigeration system with a CO2 system means reducing its direct greenhouse effect by 4,000 times. Amazing, huh? And the new store consumes 50% less energy than one made several years ago. So looking at the new stores is not enough. Retrofitting old stores is key if we want to cut the greenhouse gas emissions from our sector. Today, with the funds of the recovery plan from the European Next Generation, for instance, we finally have a great opportunity, perhaps the last, to regain control and take back the future of the planet and confirm the European leadership in green commercial refrigeration. Let me thank our guests and all the speakers who today took us to see the supermarket of the future. Completely green, chemical-free, natural refrigerants that do not cause any greenhouse effect, provide maximum efficiency, and connected equipment which reduces the consumption and keeps the food at an ideal and stable temperature, always, everywhere, and forever. This may seem like a dream. However, we are actually on it. This is what we are doing now. Our sector is ready to support a new F-gas regulation with raised ambition, ready to take its ambition straight to 2050. We target the minimum possible GWP, 1, that is coming from natural refrigerants and the best efficiency of systems. Ultimately, not a step that will bring immediate change after a few years, but a brand new regulatory long-term scenario to accompany us straight to 2050. Now, we are at the end, and we'd like to say goodbye with a nice video that summarizes all the activities and the goals achieved until now. Thanks to our audience for staying with us. Thanks to all our special guests, and happy World Refrigeration Day to everybody. Ready to present this new range at Cilventa.
We from EPTA, we strongly believe that we can achieve very good results by only using simply standard components, but still get these very extraordinary results.
And all the time the message will be that CO2 is there, it's simple, it's efficient, it's convenient for everyone.